Hello everyone, and thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. Today it's all about Delta Force, this new hyped extraction game that's supposed to replace Battlefield and Escape from Tarkov. Well, let's see about that. Let's start first with the basic facts, just on the surface. Delta Force is categorized as a tactical shooter and is developed by the TiMi Studio Group. It will be available on PC, PS5 and Xbox. For smooth performance on PC, they recommend an Intel Core i3 6500 or better, or an AMD Ryzen 5 or better. 16GB of RAM and a graphics card like a GeForce GTX 1060. Also, the game is pretty hefty on your hard drive. 60GB is quite a lot, so if you have a very slow internet connection and want to download the game, well, good luck. That's it for the basic data. After starting it, I immediately noticed something negative. The main menu. I don't know about you, but when I'm greeted with 1,000 different menus, game mods and who knows what else, right off the bat, it really annoys me. It took me a while to navigate through this maze of clicks. I mean, I just want to start playing. Intuitive design looks different for me. Anyway, I finally managed to get into what I call the Battlefield mode. Getting started wasn't bad. If you've played Battlefield, you'll find your way around pretty quickly. My first few rounds went well and it was actually fun at the beginning. I can't complain about that. It's basically a copy and paste of known features. Sure, why not? It worked, but honestly, I didn't see anything truly new or innovative here. But hey, it's 2025. Maybe I shouldn't be too critical. They took existing concepts and used them well enough. Battlefield mode, check in the box, that's okay. But after 2 or 3 rounds, I had to stop. It was too intense for me, too much sensory overload, and enemies seemed to be everywhere. After a while, it just got on my nerves. Everywhere who know me, I'm into real tactical shooters, and that doesn't mean running and gunning like Call of Duty. Enough about that mode. Let's go to the extraction mode, or operation.
We're landing.
Which is more my kind of thing. Again, navigating through all these menu screens, it really drives me nuts. You know my opinion on that by now. What I found kind of nice was the base area, where you can walk around a bit, but that's about it. Nothing special except that you can interact with agents or traders. That's something you don't really have in Escape from Tarkov, so I like that. After exploring the menu and clicking around, I played a few rounds. I noticed that the game makes it easier for beginners by simplifying certain things, like choosing ammo and modifying weapons right before jumping into a match. Everything is in one place, so you don't have to run back and forth to a dealer like in Escape from Tarkov. Point for Delta Force. When I'm loading into a match, there was a short intro video. Reminded me of Call of Duty. It took me forever to realize that the spawn point is random. At first, I thought the group leader could choose it since it's shown on the map beforehand. I also think it's okay that you always spawn in a full group, but it might annoy me if I ever want to play solo. Say as a Delta Force sniper, for example. I haven't found a solo option yet, but maybe I just miss it in that menu maze. Gameplay-wise, it ran really smoothly. Something you're not always used to with Tarkov. That's nice. Movements and gunplay felt super smooth. More like Call of Duty, in my opinion. They don't feel very realistic, but opinions will vary.
Links um die Ecke.
The map is really helpful and makes getting your bearings a lot easier. The quests are shown on the map, which is nice, but also takes away some of the challenge, in my opinion. The fights were pretty easy. The sound works really well, making it easier to locate enemies. The operator's abilities are neat and helped in on situation or another. The scouting arrow, for example, is quite useful in a game like this. Interactions with the environment, like activating special exits, are also nicely done. So, there's not much more to say about the different modes. The campaign is still in development. Since I want to keep the video short, let's jump straight into my final summary. Delta Force is a game that borrows a lot from other titles. It's fun at its current state, definitely playable, and great for playing with friends or alone. But I feel like it lacks a soul. The firefights feel okay, the battlefield model feels okay, the whole game is just okay. It didn't really grab me or create any truly memorable moments. Take Escape from Tarkov, for example, which is my main game. I have over 2000 hours in it and it's still fun. The emotion, it steers up the nervousness in every single fight. That's just amazing. Sure, Escape from Tarkov has its own problems and is far from perfect, but it keeps me hooked, challenged me and makes me stay engaged. Delta Force can do that at the moment, or maybe not me, it's my personally feedback or my personally opinion. Right now, Delta Force is something I might play after Tarkov has completely crushed me, just to relax and cool down. Delta Force is fun, but after 3 rounds, that's it for me. So if you're looking for a game to play now and then, this could be just right for you. Thanks for listening so long. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and share your opinion on the game. See you on the battlefield.